Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 14th canon and my show, The Return of Friday Night Gunners. We're talking things North London Derby this week because, well, we are now in the build up to this weekend. Our guest today has been on the show before. He's a laugh. He says he's in a mischievous mood, which should make this funny. So, please, everyone, welcome Dom.
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Doing really well. Pleasure to have to be on again, and always a fun one. I'm sure I'll make an ass of myself later when we do the game. But as you said, I'm in mischievous mood, so hopefully I will live up to expectations. But let's see what happens.
Dom, the first thing that I want to talk to you about is the past, North London derbies. You obviously have a lot more experience in watching North London derbies than me. Talk us through your memories, I suppose, your favourite North London derbies, which ones rank the highest, and yeah, take it away.
Obviously, North London derbies. There've been many a good one, but the one that obviously stands out, and I'm sure it'll be the one that anyone that remembers it will remember most fondly. But I think it's the one that will go down almost in history, which is 2004 Arsenal winning the league at White Hart Lane. You know, it's the invincible season. Arsenal going to try and win not just a league there, but keep that unbeaten record, and going there and getting that win was just an absolutely incredible memory. When you're winning the league in your rival stadium, it means the world, right? But, while it was 2-2 on the day, Arsenal didn't win the game. It's still just an incredible feeling. I was watching it at home. I think I was even out. I don't think I saw the game live. I think I was out. In fact, I was out. You can't forget it. I was out, so I was having to follow it as sort of best I can on the radio because we were driving back from somewhere, and just that tenseness in those last few minutes when you're desperately hoping that you're going to secure the league. It is an incredible feeling. It really is.
Who said that? It sounds quite simple. It's a pretty simple concept. I'm going to put up a quote. I think I've got about 7 or 8 of these. I'm going to put up a quote. There's going to be 3 options, so it's going to be multiple choice. So I've made it a bit easier.
Well,
Because
that's the result.
I could literally put up any random words, and it could be anyone. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the concept. If you're good to start, then
I
we'll get
am.
going. First quote. I'll read it out. Sometimes there is nothing in life better than being a Gooner. Your 3 options are Kevin Campbell, Tony Adams, and Mesut Ozil.
Tony Adams obviously had a sort of checkered history in many ways with Arsenal, with the drink driving and what have you. But obviously Arsenal really sort of gave him the second chance after all of that, and then Arsene Wenger massively extended his career, and I think something Tony Adams will be sort of forever grateful for. So you could sort of see it saying that, but this just feels to me like a Kevin Campbell, a man that sort of loved football, loved life, loved the club, and you could sort of see how much it meant to him, even with the way he interacted with the sort of online community, the fan community, years after he finished playing. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's sad death, in the last, was it about a year or so ago, or 2 years ago now, near enough, will be missed. So I'm going to go with Kevin Campbell, but he's going to be bloody Mesut Ozil. You watch.
It is indeed Kevin Campbell. Obviously, such a lovely man. Did you ever meet him?
No, I didn't. I mean, I wasn't on the sort of YouTube community until, just
Yeah.
over a year ago anyway. But lots of people speak fondly about him, journalists speak fondly about him, fans that sort of saw him at the stadium and around, he was always reportedly very generous with his time. So no, unfortunately I wasn't, he seemed like an amazing man, and, he
Yeah.
was a player that always gave his all for, us, Everton. Just what he was a really good player. I mean, he wasn't like top draw, but he was a man that gave everything to maximise his ability.
Yeah, a really good character to look up to, Kevin Campbell there. I was prepared to join Tottenham, but the moment Arsenal came in, it was always going to be them. And your 3 options are Eberechi Eze, Willian, and Piero Hincapié.
Well, I mean, we all wish Willian had joined Tottenham instead of Arsenal.
Yeah.
Hincapié was always going to Arsenal. There was no other option. So this one, of course, is the man that was about to sign for Tottenham before Berta signed. And if this isn't right, I'm going to look like an absolute tit. But it's Eberechi Eze.
Yes, obviously it is, of course, average Eze. Long transfer saga over the summer. Will he go to Tottenham? In fact, it's not just this summer, it's been for years, I think. Loads of talk around Tottenham, but he has signed for Arsenal and he will make his first North London derby appearance this weekend. Hopefully he scores.
Wouldn't it be
Hopefully
great if he
he
scored?
scores. Yeah.
I mean, I remember my mate Luke messaging me, when he signed, he was like, "You're going to be an unbearable git." I'm 2 for 2 so far, so it's going to go wrong in a minute.
I wanted to win the league at White Hart Lane, and that is why I came to Arsenal. Is it Robert Pires, Patrick Vieira, or is it Sol Campbell by any chance?
I mean, it could be any of the three, right? I mean, my gut feeling is this is not Pires. My gut feeling is it's going to be one of the other two. Vieira's captain of Arsenal. Like I said, that feeling when you win the league at your rival stadium. I mean, as a player and and as a captain, must have just been incredible, right? But I really, really hope this is Sol Campbell.
It is indeed Sol Campbell.
I mean,
But
he
yeah,
had to leave Tottenham. He wasn't going to win the league at Tottenham. Tottenham were not
no,
good. Like there have been good Tottenham sides. There have been good cup Tottenham sides. Tottenham, were building towards a decent cup side. They won the League Cup a couple of years later after this, but to win the big trophies, and he didn't win the Champions League, but he did win Premier League at Arsenal, and to be part of something really special. Sol Campbell, was a great defender and to do it on a free transfer, and the way that press conference worked was just like you won't remember it, but you probably read about it. But
yeah.
everyone, there was no expectation that Sol Campbell's about to walk in, and suddenly Sol Campbell walks in, and like the room was like, oh wow, well, just no one prepared for it. Like, what again, a great day to be an Arsenal supporter.
Tottenham tried to sign me, but I held off and signed for Arsenal because Arsene Wenger was here. Was that Henri, Petit, or Jens Lehmann?
It's another one wanting to go to Arsenal over Tottenham. I think this was Emmanuel Petit, actually. I'm pretty sure, look, Arsene Wenger had a big impact on, lots of players. And obviously the French Connection, which, by the way, is a great film for anyone that likes car chasers. But that's not what this is about. It is a huge draw for him. And he made, as I say, he made a big impact on many players. But I think this was Emmanuel Petit. I don't remember if Thierry Henry being linked with Tottenham. Nor do I remember Jens Lehmann being linked with Tottenham, but I do vaguely remember, and this could be a fake memory, but Petit being linked. So I think this is Emmanuel Petit.
It is indeed Emmanuel Petit. Close to signing for Tottenham. They wanted him, but well, he clearly stated himself. Arsene Wenger's at Arsenal.
I'll
want
tell you what.
Arsenal.
I'll tell you what. This double pivot we have now is probably the best double pivot we've had since Petit Vieira.
Those that say it is the taking part and not the winning that is important are, for me, wrong. It is the other way round. Was that Declan Rice, Tony Adams, or Robert Pires?
I don't know. I mean, ultimately, this quote is right. You want to win things, and Arsenal right now are now in a position to win things. I think, the only time I disagree with this is when you've then got to, you still want to win, but the squad's not quite there. And I think sometimes you have to set expectations, and all sides will go through that at times. But this is obviously a side that did win things, can win things. And I'm going to go Declan Rice saying this one because I think, a big part of why he came to Arsenal was to win trophies. I know he won the Conference League at West Ham, but it was a big part of why he came here and wanted to come here. But it wouldn't shock me if this is either of the other two because they're, winners in their own right. But I think this is Declan Rice.
Okay, you're going with Declan Rice, and the correct answer was Tony Adams, Mr.
Oh,
Arsenal.
I had to get one wrong at some point.
Despite the global warming, England still isn't warm enough for him. Speaking about Jose Reyes returning to Spain, was this Arsene Wenger, Cesc Fabregas, or Robin van Persie?
This is an amazing quote. I can't believe I've not heard this before. This one. This is amazing. despite global warming. Absolutely first class. I mean, Arsene Wenger wasn't necessarily sort of renowned for his humour, but he was, by all accounts, a very, very funny man. So I really hope this is Arsene Wenger. I'm going to go with Arsene Wenger. Yeah.
It was indeed Arsene Wenger. That's a good one. Even though we didn't win the game, people will still remember that we won the title at White Hart Lane. Was that Colo Torre, Thierry Henry, or Dennis Bergkamp?
Oh, we were just talking about this game earlier. I actually again don't know. And again could be any of them. It doesn't feel like Colo Torre to me. It feels more like one of the others. So I am going to go with Thierry Henry.
It was indeed Thierry Henry. I'm pretty sure he said that in an interview on Sky. Could be wrong.
It feels like something you see looking back on it rather than in the moment. Okay, I think the emotions kind of get to you in the moment, and it's partly why I went on Reed, because he's sort of more vocal, because of his media sort of punditry and stuff. So
I want to talk about the current defensive situation that we've got at Arsenal. It is obviously the international break as we speak. Brazil hosted Senegal at the Emirates over the weekend, and it led to the unfortunate news of Gabby Magalhaes. Unfortunately, he looks to be out for a couple of months, which is such a shame. You know how much of a big role he plays in this team. How can we sort of I don't want to say replace him, but we are essentially going to have to replace him for the next couple of months. But
yeah,
replace isn't the right word. I don't think that's the right word to
well,
use.
it
But
is a replacement, isn't it? In many ways, he's not
yeah,
available. You're not going to play with 10 men.
no, yeah. How do you think Arsenal will cope with this situation? Who do you think will step into the team?
I mean, based on my performance on Monday night, Mikel, I don't need paying. But I've spoken on this sort of in the week about, the fact that Arsenal didn't have control over whether or not he was called up for Brazil. They have to let him go, and it's up to Brazil to whether they're going to release him back or not. So Arsenal were powerless in that. The FIFA regulation is really, really clear on that. I know people don't like to hear that, but it is unfortunately true, and it's disappointing. And I think what's particularly disappointing about this is the difference between how Carlo Ancelotti, who is a great manager, and no question has dealt with the injury to Gabriel, versus how the Italian manager has treated Calafiori, which is, we're aware of his load, we're aware that there's a little bit of a niggle there, and we're going to take no risk. And they were, by the way, World Cup qualification was on the line for them. They're going to have to go into the playoffs now. I don't think Calafiori makes a difference, by the way, to that, because they won the first game, and I don't, they weren't going to get the 9-goal swing in the second game. So in some ways, sort of dead rubber, but a friendly is even more of a dead rubber than that. And they took a no risks approach with Calafiori, and he's come back to Arsenal and is expected to be fit for the North London derby at the weekend. So I think Arsenal will be very disappointed with the way Brazil have handled Gabriel Magalhaes here. And as a result, David Ornstein reporting today as we record this, he's out for up to 2 months, between 1 and 2 months. And that's a huge loss, because not only is he a threat, obviously, in the opposition box, he's a leader at the back. We all talk about the quality of Saliba, and rightly so, but Gabriel is a leader, no question. He also covers that left half space. Arsenal get their left back very, very high. It's a weakness in the Arsenal defence, if you like, in terms of a deliberate one. Every system will have strengths and weaknesses, but we get a lot for it going forward because of what that left back offers. But defensively, it means if we get caught in transition, that's where the gap is. That's where you look to rush through if you're the opposition. Yeah. And Gabriel fills that really, really well. While I think Gabriel is sort of one of those players you definitely don't want to miss out, he's one of sort of the key 3 or 4 men you'd want to have fit all the time. Arsenal are well stocked there. There's options. I wouldn't go with these ones, but you could do Saliba and Mosquera. One of them could go to the left-sided. But I think the more likely options and the better options are Ricardo Calafiori stepping in from left back to left centre-back. I quite like him at left back. I know centre-back is his preferred option, but just the way Arsenal play and that sort of that freedom he gets slightly more in that left back role, I think really is really great for Arsenal. But he is obviously a centre back by trade. But the man I'd go for is Nkapie. He was brought in because of his power, because of the fact he's left-sided, because he's athletic, which is what you're going to need to do to cover that space I was talking about earlier, and he's physical. And I think this is a chance for Hincapié to come in now and show Arsenal what he's made of, and hopefully do what Mosquera did on that right-hand side, which is, Mosquera has made maybe one mistake, and it was conceding a cheap corner at Newcastle. Well, yes, he conceded the cheap corner. Arsenal conceding from it is not necessarily his fault, right? It's a very minor mistake. He's almost been perfect, Mosquera. And hopefully Hincapié can come in and do the same on the left-hand side and do what Kivior did for us last season. I think Kivior was great, but Hincapié should be an upgrade on that.
You were talking about the treatment of Gabriel. Do you think because Brazil were playing at the Emirates and, Gabriel, Arsenal, Emirates, do you think that kind of had any influence in it at all?
I think so. Look, as I say, Arsenal and all clubs, back in the day, Alex Ferguson used to take the piss, right? He would withdraw players from squads for spurious reasons. Ryan Giggs, most famously, right? It's why, if you ask Wales fans, they will tell you that Gareth Bale was a bigger legend for Wales than Ryan Giggs. And in some ways, that's because of he got them to tournaments, they played at tournaments. But also, it's partly because Ryan Giggs would pull out a squad so often because Alex Ferguson basically went, "You're not going," and he'd go, "All right, boss." And I'm paraphrasing. We don't know what happened, but I mean, essentially, that's sort of widely sort of folklore that is what happened. You can't do that anymore. So unless the player withdraws or the International Confederation agrees that the player is injured, we saw it with Gyökeres that Arsenal will have those conversations, and try and withdraw them. We had Martinelli withdraw a couple of seasons ago from the Brazil squad, but we also saw Brazil call up Gabriel Jesus and check his fitness. He flew to Brazil, they checked his fitness, he flew straight back again because they accepted he was injured. They are allowed to do that. But I don't think Gabriel will have wanted to miss out on this Brazil squad. It's a World Cup year. You turn down the chance to play for Brazil under a new manager. It's not going to go down well with a fanatic fan base like that. It's like you've turned down the chance to play for your country. We don't want you playing, the World Cup. And that will not go down well. So he won't have wanted to withdraw. It'll also, as you rightly say, chance to play for Brazil at your home club stadium as well. It is a massive draw. And that will have, Mikel Arteta, we don't know, this is hypothetical, may well have had a conversation with Gabriel going, "You've got a bit of a knock. I think you should, do you want to withdraw from the squad because you are injured or, potentially going to be injured here because you're carrying a load." I can't imagine Gabriel Magalhaes saying to a man going, "Yeah, you're right, Gaffer. Yeah, actually, I will do that," because of those factors I just talked about. And it is going to be a fact. It's why Martin Odegaard wants to play for Norway the whole time. It means something to these players. It might only be a friendly, but it's a chance to represent your country, particularly when you're the captain like Odegaard was for Norway. It's a big draw, and it makes it difficult to persuade players to withdraw unless they really are injured. I don't imagine Victor Gyökeres didn't want to not play for Sweden, given the state they were in. However, he was clearly injured and couldn't go, but he wouldn't have wanted to pull out. He would have wanted to be there. And that's, I think you're exactly right. It will have been a factor in why Gabriel Magalhaes, if Arsenal did speak to him, we don't know if he did, would have said, "No, I want to play."
We're going to wrap the show up now with, you hate it, especially for a North London derby. But I'm going to force a score prediction out of you. I'll let you go first. North London derby, take it away.
Well, I'm going to have to do it at some point. I think for me, I think just because it's North London derby, Arsenal's defence obviously been so good. I know they conceded 2 at Sunderland, but it was, basically 9 games, that they hadn't conceded for. It was 8 clean sheets. But when the goals were scored, it was around about 9 games. You can't live on that forever. That was always going to end at some point. But I just think in the North London derby, with that home crowd, I think Tottenham will get a goal.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal will win this. They're the better side, but it's a cliche, and I hate cliches, but it kind of goes out the window whether you're the better side or not in a North London derby, which goes back to what I was saying earlier about why I hate them so much. But I just feel Arsenal will win this one. Tottenham are crap at home, but the fact they are crap at home makes me really, really worried that Arsenal will go and lose the game, type of thing, like Tottenham go and bloody win when they don't normally. But I am going Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1. I hadn't thought about it before you asked me. I had no idea what you're going to talk about or ask me tonight, so this is all off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, someone said to me today, Victor Gyökeres hat-trick incoming. That would be amazing. But 2-1 Arsenal.
I'd love to keep a clean sheet. I love the idea of winning 2-3-0, just absolutely slapping them up. But I do agree. I do see a world in where they get a goal, because it's normally what happens in North London derbies. You don't see clean sheets happening too often. And I don't really want to go with the same score prediction as you, so I'm going to say 3-1 to Arsenal. Just making it a little bit different. However, I do see it being 2-1. Dom, thank you very much for coming on. You can find him in the description. Go and give Dom a sub. He's great, and you don't really see content like his anywhere else. So I'd go and give him a subscribe if I were you watching this and you're not already. So and obviously
that's very kind, Tom. But subscribe to you too, right?
Yeah, I was going to say obviously subscribe to me as well if you haven't. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching, and come on, you Gunners.